hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you wasn't here because I wasn't talking.
Yeah, maybe you talking to the microphone, brother.
You know
how them things work?
Too many moving parts.
Into them.
Yeah, these are, it's whatever. Okay. So what I was telling you earlier, Brent, is Mike, being bright as he is, didn't have the record button down. This mixes all our audio. That way I can match the audio with the picture. But I didn't do that.
So you messed it up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, at least you admitted it, man. That's honesty, integrity right there.
I know.
You could have lied and then said, "Man, that machine messed this thing up, Brent."
I got no sense, man. I should have lied.
So we were. I think we ended. Did we end on the search and seizure?
We talked about.
What do you? How does an everyday citizen that's paying his taxes, which he may not like, but he's paying. He's doing everything. He's a law-abiding citizen. How does he protect? I think I brought up that old Tom Selleck movie where those guys planted something. So I mean, how do you protect yourself? How do you tell your family? How do you protect yourself from that type of ordeals?
The only thing that you can do, as hopefully God help you, that that you don't get on the bad side of the law enforcement and they do this crap, because obviously they'll do this crap and they'll do it here. But
I don't think they. I don't think whether it's Ellis County, Johnson County, Dallas County, Navarro County, any of those.
Right. No,
I think it's any across the United States. And we hear about corruption not only in just civilian business. Yeah, we're on Ellis County TV.
Not Navarro TV.
Okay.
But if y'all want to pay me, I'll put a Navarro TV sign up there. But I didn't tell you though. See where it says VMA 214? That was my first squadron.
Oh, okay.
Right here.
Yes.
It's the Black Sheep. Remember the Black Sheep squadron? Yeah, that was Black Sheep.
Wow.
And when that's when I joined 214, I was an airframes guy. When I joined 214, that show was on. With Robert Conrad.
Yeah.
Oh, we thought we were badass, man. Oh yeah, we were some badass guys. Yeah. That was a long time ago. I don't know. I got sidetracked. So here's what I would suggest about protecting yourself. Document. Now, you can get these Wise cameras up here. This is I know you guys can't see it in there, but Brent can. This camera it's got motion and it's got pan. And you can set it to where it's automatic. So you can pan up, pan down, or it'll actually go 360 degrees.
What's it run off of? Your computer?
Just a battery. It's a Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
But the good thing about it is it's also got those micro SD cards in each one of them. You put them in each one of them. That way, if somebody, let's say, it's also uploaded to a cloud. But let's say they came in and they stole the camera, for instance, or they stole maybe the Wi-Fi router, whatever the hell, I would still have their likeness on disk. Okay. Barring that, I still have it on the cloud, and it stores so many days on the cloud.
It purges.
Yeah, and then it rolls over.
What kind of camera? What brand is that?
That's a Wyze, WYZE, $35 off of Amazon.
WYZE. Okay.
Zebra Echo.
It's $35.
$35.
Wow.
$20 for the one it's about this big. It's a little cube. I might have one out here somewhere, but it doesn't pan or tilt or anything like that. But these are high definition 1080p cameras. Wow. It's unbelievable. I got that one unplugged because while we're out here, it'll keep tracking. It's got face tracking on it.
Wow.
So if it sees you move, that camera will go whoop, and then on the screen it'll put a square around you. So it'll follow you if you walk through here. It's pretty badass. $35.
Wow.
So my deal is, if you have those in your house and you can afford to have quite a few of them, if they're $35, maybe want a payday, get you, the only way you're going to be able to protect yourself is to have documentation, because no one's going to believe you. I mean, if they do believe you, then you're still going to have to pay a shitload of money to become innocent. I don't know. That sounds crazy. Coming from a police officer, you're not innocent until proven guilty. You're innocent until you run out of money. And if we play this right, we'll run you out of money and you'll take a plea. That's how we do it. When I say we, I'm in the law enforcement occupation too. So what they've done, what their tactic to win these cases is not to go to trial. It's to starve them out, and they can.
No, I'm not trying to spin it again or anything, but just asking. So I assume you have brothers in law enforcement in different areas. I don't know if it's just in Texas or Oklahoma or wherever. What do you hear? What feedback do you hear from them on just how different law enforcement's ran, judicial systems, stuff like that? I mean, what do you hear back? I mean,
what I hear is, it's pretty much the same what goes on here. Unfortunately, and I know it's coming from me, it's understandable that I'm going to be anti-DA office because of what happened here locally. Mm-hmm. But there's other DA offices that are doing the same thing. They've lost sight of seeing that justice is done, and now they're into seeing that personal agendas are done. That the way we want our elected officials to act done. That's what they're getting into. Or we're wanting this guy. We've arrested him 3 times, and he's a meth guy, and we've had him in jail, So we're just gonna let him sit in there for a year or whatever. No, I mean, the guy's an addict, man. He's not using meth because the DA is, he's thumbing his nose at the DA. He's using meth because he's an addict, and we don't offer anything to help him. So. I could go on and on and on.
Well, I just trying to. I never really gotten that involved in the legal system because fortunately I've never had.
I've never had a speeding ticket.
Well, I can.
Not that I haven't sped, but it's just I've never been caught.
Okay. Well, I can't say that. I can't say that.
Well, you probably never been arrested on a felony either, have you?
Well, no. But I guess what it is, it's funny because I can still remember my Kansas driver's license number.
Yeah. Was it your social security number?
No. It was, no.
You had to remember it? For what reason, Brett?
Well, I didn't have to remember. I guess what I'm saying is I had a lead foot.
Yeah.
And so I was always getting pulled over. So
were they writing you a ticket, though?
A lot of the times.
Really?
Yeah. But I'm not going to sit there and say I didn't deserve it. I was speeding. So my point is I don't get upset if a law enforcement officer pulls me over. If I'm speeding, I may not agree with it. I may sit there and go, we're out in the middle of nowhere and the speed limit's 50, and I'm doing 65. Well, I know that I'm taking that risk.
Well, yeah.
Which is kind of funny because when you say that, Midlothian. Okay, which is in Ellis County. So we're on Ellis County TV. So I'm going to mention
Ellis County
TV. There is so many speed limits. Usually you go into usually when you enter a town, everything's either 35, 40, or whatever. Man, there's 30, there's 35, there's 40, there's 45, and then it just.
So what people don't realize in Texas, and so I'm glad you brought this up, actually. There's prima facie speed limits in Texas, and that's what it's called. Yeah, I know. We have.
Is that French or what? What?
Karma? Is that French? Did you see California with? Yeah. So prima facie means if you don't see a sign, then you can expect the speed limit to be this. In other words, in the neighborhood,
40?
No.
Okay. In the neighborhood's 20,
30.
30?
30, okay. Unless marked otherwise. Right. Yeah. Maybe it's only you, but because
what I'm just saying is
my wife drives like 45 through the neighborhood.
Y'all know.
Hey, man.
No, so I'm sitting there saying, so if I go through a neighborhood, there's not a speed limit, I'll assume it's 20 because there's kids and stuff like that. But if I'm going through the town, okay,
there's no prima facie.
If there's no speed limit, then I'm going to sit there and think that it's probably 40.
Yeah, probably. You'd probably be all right with that with 40 or 45. If you're not familiar with that town, I think there's a prima facie speed limit for 2-lane roads, 4-lane roads in urban areas, in suburban areas, things of that nature. I couldn't. I'd have to look it up.
Okay.
But in neighborhoods, it's very important because you hardly ever see speed limit signs in
Correct.
neighborhoods.
You don't.
So that's what it's called in Texas. It's called prima facie, and it's 30 in the neighborhoods.
Wow.
So if it's not marked 20, or if it's not marked 40, if it's not marked, it's 30.
Okay.
All right. So that's just the way it is, and towns can't do anything about it. So
Okay. I didn't know that.
yeah, and in highways, prima facie speed limit in most areas is 70 now,
Right.
except for up in some parts of the state is 80, and maybe even 85.
That little toll road that
Yeah.
takes you around
Austin. Yeah.
that's 85.
Yeah,
I
you
remember
haul
I was down there on a sales call, and I'm doing like 85, 80, between 85 and 90. And man, I saw.
It's still speeding.
Okay, I'm still speeding. Okay, okay, but there was like nobody on this road. It was,
I know.
Weird. I mean, it was really weird. I mean,
And you don't see a lot of things out there either.
no. So I'm hooking at 85 to 90 miles an hour, and here comes
Highway patrol.
Highway Patrol, and he's coming at me. I'm thinking, oh crap, because you sit there thinking, I'm doing 85, 90 miles an hour. It's got to be 70 here. Man, I put on the brakes. Man, he flew by me like I was sitting still, man. So I understand what you're saying.
It's weird. I don't think I have. Well, that Lexus, I guess, will do it. But, my little Nissan pickup out there, it ain't going to do 85. It will for about 2 minutes, and then it'll sound like it's screaming or something, It's,
barking at
yeah. And old Blue, it ain't going to do anything over 65. So,
you. Understand?
yeah. So, but again, everybody speeds. I mean, it's just everybody speeds. If the speed limit's 80, there's going to be people doing 85. It's just the nature of the beast. But they're not doing it at the detriment of the police officer out there that's monitoring that highway. Right. They're doing it because they're thinking of something else, or, the last thing they're thinking about is they're breaking the law. They're comfortable doing 85, let's say. But the police officers that I've seen here lately, they take that personal. They'll get them pulled over, and they're almost pissed off. Do you know how fast you're going?
A lot of times people sit there and say, no, I don't.
Yeah.
And they're being honest.
Yeah,
I'm being
right.
I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because I've been pulled over before, and
you got 20 things going on in your period,
they
man.
sat there and said, and I'll give you an example. One is if you shoot 67 all the way down, you go through 67, you go through Alvarado, and you go through Grandview, and then you hit Keene. And I always laugh about Keene because, man, I've gotten tickets.
There's some
out
ticket
there before.
riders, boy.
Yeah, so I it goes from 60 or 65 to 55 down to 45, then I think down to 40 or something like that. And they asked me how fast you're going. I said probably 45 to 50. Well, you're doing 51, and it's 40 here. And it's on 67. It's on 67. It's on the highway, so you never expect it to
change
to drop down to 40.
Well, 287 goes from 65 to 55. It's still 4-lane.
Yeah.
And we're writing tickets out there. Well, that's stupid.
Yeah, and I guess I can understand, but it's my premise, or why I was asking all these questions about the law, search and seizure, and the law, because there's a lot of people that don't know.
Sure.
They're I would even sit there and say I'm naive to a lot of it. You don't know what's allowed, what's not allowed. How do you protect yourself? How do you not protect yourself? And I'm not saying that you're trying to be belligerent, but you're trying to be a respectful citizen, but you're also trying to protect yourself at the same time.
And protect your rights.
And protect your rights, protect yourself. So, you don't know, because I would say back in my day, and I'm only 42.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like 55 too, maybe.
Yeah. 56.
Are you really? Yeah. See, you got hair, man.
Be 57 in August. So the thing is back in my day growing up, if I was 16, 17, 18, 19, it didn't make a difference if a law enforcement officer pulled me over and said, "Do you mind me checking your car? Hey, here's the keys. Check the trunk, whatever." And there would be no big deal. A lot of times they would ask, "Hey, do you got anything?" Back in our day, I grew up in Derby, Kansas, and so and you don't see it now because, of course, kids would be arrested. But a lot of the kids that I went to high school with, we lived out in the country. And those that drove trucks had, you remember the shotgun racks, rifle rack in the back of the truck?
Yeah, we had too.
And
you go to school like that.
You go to school like that. Some kids would, hunt before school. The coach would come out, "Oh, what's that new gun you got? Show me that." And it was just a common thing. It's unfortunate that we live in the times that we do.
But again, it's not the guns.
Oh, I agree with you. No, I don't get me wrong. I mean,
I know.
I agree with you. But to go back to what I was sitting there saying was that, it's sad that we live in a state, or we're living in a time where if a law enforcement officer says, "Do you mind if I check?" Now I come back and look at it. Well, why would they really need to check? I mean, now that I think about it, now back then, like I said, I would let them check, but now today you look at it. But why do you need to check?
That's exactly right.
I wasn't doing anything wrong.
But when you're a kid,
no wacky tobacco rolling out of the
no Cheech and Chong car.
No Cheech and Chong in the car. No Big Bob, not smoking any Big Bob Marleys or anything. But what I'm just saying is that those things just didn't happen, and we live in a.
Well, you trusted, we grew up trusting the police. If if I was 18, I was in the Marine Corps at 18. So, if I got pulled over at 18, I was like, hell, yeah, you want to? Sure, I'll open the doors for you. But as I got older now, and this is my profession in law enforcement, I see that the rights are being abused by officers. And I don't think they're being abused on purpose. I think it's training.
Okay.
I think it's,
But let me ask you a hard question then.
Yeah.
And this...
I'm honest.
No, I'm just saying a hard question.
Yeah.
I believe that most people want to do the right thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I just do. And so we can sit there and say 90% want to do the right thing, 10% don't, but unfortunately that 10% taints. And I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do sales for our business. People, "Oh, you're one of them salesmen." You always get lumped in with the used car salesman. So, I know how that feels sometimes when you get lumped in with maybe a crooked cop or whatever you want to say.
Guilty by association.
Okay. Correct, and it's not good.
No.
And so let me ask this: How do we as a society get back to where we can trust the law enforcement, where we can trust the judicial system? And I'm talking across the board. I'm talking all the way up. And I heard a thing, watched the YouTube, it had Trey Gowdy on it. He was in an interview on one show. And he was sitting there talking. He was actually sitting there talking. He goes, with everything that was going on with the federal president and that whole administration. Yeah. And he sat there and stated that, because the corruption of the top echelon of the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if we can't trust the FBI, then who can we trust?
That's right.
Now, so I'm looking at it from...
Well, that's more than a hypothetical question.
I know, but I'm looking at it from the top to all the way down, and I'm talking from your local courts all the way to your Supreme Courts, your upper courts, all the way down from your local... police officer, all the way up to the FBI, everything. How do we get that back? It's been destroyed.
Yeah.
It has. Yeah. It has. And so I have friends that I went to high school with that are police officers, and they're saying that they started when law enforcement was respected, and they're going to probably retire out when it has been not respected.
Yeah.
And how do we do that? Training.
Yeah.
But you hit you sat there and said that the citizens didn't do this.
Right.
The agencies did it to themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the old Napoleon complex. You know, I've got this power, and they might not even think in that kind of an abstract, but that's what it comes down to. I've got this power, and by God, you talk back to me, so you're going to get a ticket. You know, well, that's not how this is supposed to work. You know, I mean, if you're not going to give that guy a ticket, don't let him talk himself into a ticket. That's my outlook. I won't let my deputies carry a ticket book, but I'm a little bit different. But if, let's say they carried a ticket book, I want them to make up their mind if they're going to issue a citation to this driver that they don't know anything about, haven't made contact with. Are you going to issue a citation for that tail light or not? Decide that before you make contact. Because if you get up there and the guy's having a bad day, has nothing to do with us, more than likely.
Correct.
And he's belligerent to you and it pisses you off, you're going to give him a ticket simply because you can. Simply because you can. Now, you just contributed to that guy having the worst day, probably. You know, you don't know if he's having trouble at work. You don't know anything.
Well, I mean, we don't. We're all fighting battles.
Yes.
We all have burdens.
Right.
Okay. There's some great songs that talk about. There's some great Christian songs and stuff that talk
absolutely.
about that. But we're all fighting battles. We all have burdens, and you can either help somebody or you can hinder them.
That's right.
You can either this guy's going
you're going to leave an impression one way or the other on this person that you're going to make contact.
Right.
with.
Law enforcement officer comes up. So say he's doing 8 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, 12 miles an hour over. Okay. I'm not advocating that he didn't break the law. That's not what I'm saying is, but if he's driving above the speed limit but not recklessly, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. He's driving. It's not like raining out like it is tonight or whatever. It's dry out. There's nobody else around. He's not endangering anybody. But you're right. Maybe he just got terminated. Maybe he just got laid off. Yeah. Maybe his wife has cancer. Maybe his kid's sick. I mean, we don't know what's going on.
Right.
You can either go up there and I appreciate that because I remember one Cedar Hill police officer. I was not having a good day. It was just like you said, battling your way back from Dallas. Yeah. Coming back, and he goes, "Do you realize you were doing 55 at a 40?" And I said, "You know what? If you say I was, I probably was." I said I was not necessarily paying attention to the speedometer, but I was paying attention to my surroundings. But if you say that I was, then I was. I'm not going to try to tell you I wasn't. And he goes, you seem a little
scattered.
Not scattered. He goes, you seem a little uptight, like stressed out. And I said, well, honestly, yeah, I am. And he's, I kind of just gave him a brief synopsis. He goes, man, that's not good. He goes, I'm not going to add to your stress.
That's a good officer.
He looked at me and he goes, I'm not going to add to your stress. And
whoever you are up there at Cedar Hill, good job, brother.
Yeah. And it's been a while back, but it made an impression on me. And
That's right.
It did. And he could have he had the right. I'm going to tell you, he had the right to write me a ticket.
Authority.
Okay,
not the right.
Okay, he had the authority to write me a ticket, okay? And he didn't.
Right.
And he said, dude, I know you live in Midlothian. So try to slow it down till you get home and then just relax or do whatever. And I appreciated that. And I did. I was watching that needle on that speedometer, man, I wasn't going. But the point was he didn't add to my stress, because if he'd have given me the ticket, I still deserved it, but it would add to my stress. Now I got to pay this ticket, and I this, that, or the other. Yeah. But he made a solid impression of.
Not only that, he made us all look good that day. You know what I'm saying?
He did. It builds up your faith and your confidence that, okay, I'm gonna use this, but they're not all bad.
Right.
Okay.
No,
and
I get it.
And I've said that before. I've had conversations with guys that I went to high school with that are police officers. One's whatever his rank is, but he trains a lot of them, and he talks about doing the right thing, doing the right thing when you're going up there.
And that's what we need.
Doing the right thing, and
and that's going to be a lot of my shows. There's going to be on law enforcement doing the right thing,
right?
Because there's cops that watch my show,
right? But he was sitting there saying that we're supposed to work within the community, and we're out there to protect,
right,
and to keep it safe. So. Yeah, if a guy, I'm not advocating speeding, and I hate to get stuck on this, but if a guy is driving safe, but he's above the speed limit, that's completely different, in my opinion, of a guy driving above the speed limit and not driving safe. I've seen people drive the speed limit that drive unsafe, okay?
And below the speed limit.
There's this thing usually on your steering column. It goes, there's a center point, and it'll go up, and it'll go down, and when you hit it, this is a miracle. This is like magic. On your dashboard,
makes a sound, doesn't it?
It some of them, yeah. And actually, the newer cars, you don't have to have it make the sound. But the cool thing is, there's these little green things or whatever, and they have arrows, and they light up on your dashboard. And you wouldn't believe this. You're absolutely not going to believe it. It sends a signal to the front of your car and to the back of your car.
To advise?
And it blinks. It blinks. It's cool.
About.
Now, I don't see them on a lot of cars anymore, so I don't know if they're not putting them on cars anymore.
Yeah, no, they took them away with the bright light switch. I get it, man. You're right. And that's an offense too, not using your blinker so many feet before. You were taught this in school, probably.
Well, no, what I've said, and you can correct me on this, but I did some research, and it says statistically that there are more wrecks caused by failure to warn somebody you're changing direction of your vehicle through the than it is through speed. Now what happens is that the people in the wreck may have not been the culprit. It's the guy in front that hits his brakes and makes a quick turn without any signaling.
Well, and you could also say that's probably the cause of a lot of road rage incidents too. Is he didn't. You should have signaled me, but he didn't. By God, they're king of the road kind of things. We got to deal with a lot of craziness, but you have to realize that everybody's different.
We live in a high pressure system.
We live in a high pressure system, and again, the main reason why we have police officers is to enforce the law, but mainly is to protect people, even protect that person from themselves sometimes. If they're having a bad day and you pull them over and you're able to recognize that, and we need more mental health trained officers. Like
the Cedar Hill guy, he recognized. I wasn't acting erratic, but he could read my body language that I was tense.
Yeah. You didn't set out to break the law, traffic.
And I was respectful to him when he came up.
And that goes a long way, but it shouldn't be predicated on that, because we have got to a point where it's been an us versus them kind of mentality.
I agree.
Socially, and if you take sociology 101 in college, that's the main thing that you discuss is us versus them, and
law enforcement's dealing with
crazy,
a wide variety of people.
Right.
I mean, and I'm just going to use the term, all walks of life.
Yeah.
All walks of life.
Yeah.
From every socioeconomic class.
Right.
From different countries. I mean, you don't know who you're dealing with.
And that's
all
true.
Walks. And that's what I mean by all walks of life. I mean,
no, I know.
There's those of us like that weren't born in Texas, so we're aliens to you.
That's a different walk of life right there.
Yeah.
I wasn't born in Texas either, but I've lived here most of my life now. Long as I've lived.
What is the rule? Anybody out there? You can make a comment. What is the rule? Because I mean, both my kids are Texans. They were born in Texas, and when people say, "Well, where are your kids born?" That's it's like we hit the lottery jackpot, And when they ask my wife for the birth certificate, do you want the Texas flag or the Texas star? She goes, "No, not really."
Isn't that awesome?
Like, well, no, it was like the nurse got offended. Like, you got to be kidding me, man. This is like almost being
Texas, man.
This is like being born into the monarchy, man.
See, the Marine Corps is the same way.
So
all this propaganda, you don't see this with like the Army or the Navy. You don't see the Marine Corps propaganda, right? That's the way Texas is.
Well, Mike, what I realize is you can be.
Sorry, everybody. I know this.
Well, you can be ex-Navy, you can be ex-Army, ex-Air Force, but you are always a Marine. You're a former Marine, right?
No, actually, we're considered Marines.
Still Marines till the day you die.
Till the day we die.
And so,
Hoorah.
yeah. Hoorah! My nephew did 2 tours over in Afghanistan.
Tell them that we said thank you.
Yeah,
to all those guys, man.
Yeah. They his first tour, he came back. He was messed up in his coconut, but he got it back, and a lot of his buddies did.
And we need to train a lot of mental workers to deal with these guys that are coming back after 8 and 9.
Yeah, but my nephew was over there. He was EOD.
Yeah.
So imagine that.
No,
we can't
imagine that.
What I'm just no, you can't. Well, he showed me some actual video, and Hollywood will never be able to replicate.
But you couldn't smell what was going on. You could see
it. But he enlisted when he was 17. Okay, and his mom had to sign a waiver. Mm-hmm. Then when he graduated, he was 18, and then he went to boot camp out at San Diego. It's Camp Lejeune, right?
No,
what's
boot camp
Pendleton?
No, it'd be MCRD San Diego.
Okay.
For the West Coast.
Yeah. Then he said when he went in, he qualified to be a sniper, but they already had the slots filled, so he got EOD. And he got stuck in 29 Palms. He says, "You want to talk about the anal cavity of the Marines, man? There you go."
Yeah.
But anyway, here's a kid. And I'm going to call him a kid. I mean, he's a young man now. I mean, he's got 2 kids, and went through nursing school and everything. But he was over there at 19. Actually, to be honest with you, he turned 18, went through boot camp. No, actually, he might have gone over to Afghanistan before he turned 19. And it would have been real close, but he was in actual war. I'm talking EODs going off. I'm talking seeing people blown up. I'm talking him having to shoot and kill. I'm talking all of that. And what I'm just saying is at 18, 19,
mm-hmm. And then we bring them over here, and they can't handle reality for a while, and so we incarcerate them. We don't recognize the fact that there's a mental issue. Yes, we're not going to exonerate him for doing what they did or didn't do, but we owe it to these guys to have a veterans court in Ellis County that will hold them accountable for the offense, but give them the freaking help that they deserve.
Correct. And here's the thing. So he had a lot of friends that got messed up, and then the Marines kick them out, and then they lose their family, and then they just think they're just lower than whale poop, at that point in time. And I sit there and think about that he was over there going through all this at a young age. And he came back, and he was okay, and but some guys don't.
Yeah.
Everyone reacts differently. And it's sad. It's kind of sad to see mm-hmm. that our government sends these guys over, whether it's voluntary or involuntary. He voluntary went into the Marines. I mean, but whether you're drafted or whatever, I'm just going to put a blank. Whether it's voluntary or involuntary, you're going over there. Mm-hmm. And when he was over there, he read a book. And I believe it was written by a retired Army gentleman, but the book, I can't remember what the title was. It was basically that man is not wired to kill other men. Mm-hmm. We're not wired. We're just not.
All right.
So it has to be trained, forced, whatever. Okay, so you're going against your natural instincts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're going over your natural instincts. And so you go over there and you do things that are required of you, if that's the right word to use. Yeah. And then you're supposed to, when you come back, you're supposed to shut that off and then just carry it on just like it never happened.
Assimilate back into society.
Which is
they can't.
Here's the thing.
Some can.
Right, but if you look, and who knows if it'll ever creep back out.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not wishing that on anybody, but look at it from this standpoint. Go back into your life and go back into. I can remember having a bad car accident. My mom was driving. She lost control of the car on a dirt road, flipped it over, whatever. But that was when I was in third grade. Okay, I can still remember that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'm just saying,
traumatic.
It was traumatic. Okay,
yeah.
So what I'm saying is if a guy goes over and does a 1-year tour, comes back and goes and does, so he's done two tours over there for 2 years or something, and has seen killing and all this. Okay, I just sat there and said I remembered back an accident, and then we expect them to come back, like, oh, you come back here, you spend 6 months. And you've done your years of service that you signed up for. You're not going to re-up, whatever. Mm-hmm. You got the T-shirt, the plaque, the whole thing, and then you're stuck. You're expected to go back into society to merge like a car. You're expected to merge back in like nothing happened.
When all they know, I'm living proof of it. I was in the Marines for 21 years. And to go from the Marine Corps and back into civilian life that I've never been in my whole adult life, at 40 years old, I went from being a big fish in a little pond, because that's just how the military is, to being a little fish in a big pond. And so I was being, now I was a brand new cop. So I was listening to 25-year-old cops, And so the disconnect was, everything that I've done in the Marine Corps trumped everything that ever happened here, but yet they would talk to you like you didn't know what the hell you were doing. And that's where he's going to have issues. That's where most of these guys have issues, is they were treated like men. They were expected to act like men. They conducted themselves like men, and they come back here and you got some 18-year-old kid telling me he needs to flip burgers.
Right, and what's funny is when he got done, and he came work for me for a while. And wife got pregnant, he moved back to be next to my sister and be back more with my family, and went to do nursing school. Man, he was ER nurse, because that was where all the action was. Man, he still had to do that now that he moved or whatever. But anyway, he's doing something different. He's still in nursing, but things are calming down a little bit. But we have a friend that her husband did, I don't know how many tours, Marines. And
Hoorah.
But
good night, Chesty, wherever you are.
Yeah. So what he did is he couldn't assimilate. Yeah. It's kind of he didn't freak out, but there was just nothing. He couldn't find any decent jobs or this, that, or the other. Like you said, you're either going to flip burgers or whatever. So unfortunately he goes over for 6 months, comes back for 2 months, goes over 6 months, and somewhere over in the Middle East doing security and stuff, contract labor, and he makes good money. But I mean, it's kind of sad because they have They have three kids.
But that's where he feels alive.
It's where it's like the Chris Kyle movie, Yeah. It's they get so plugged in, and that they come back here, and it's either they're not accepted, they can't find work, or they need a little bit more action.
Yeah. And that's,
they like living on that edge.
I don't know if you could say they like living on that edge. I think you could say they're probably intoned into that now. No one, like you said, no one's born.
That's their groove.
Yeah, that's the groove. They were professional. They were respected. They were good at what they did, regardless of what it was that they did, but they were good at what they did, and they were held to a higher standard, and they were treated to a higher standard. People don't realize the military is not a place to go if you think that someone's just going to tell you what to do all the time. Because if that's the case, they're going to kick your ass out of the Marine. Well, I can only speak for the Marine Corps.
Okay, yes, no disrespect to the other forces. I
Yeah,
have to say.
yeah.
But the Marines, to me, from an outsider looking in, like I said, I was going to go AOC until I cracked a lower vertebrae, and then they said you're a broken person. We don't want you anymore.
Shit,
but,
I think they thought I was a broken person.
Yeah, well, that was mentally. Anyway, that's another story.
And they were right.
But, yeah. But so the Marines seem to still be the most physically fit, the most still what I would call old school military.
And you know what that's from?
Does that make sense
Yeah,
to you?
yeah. What it is they instill into us, and to this day, it's hard to explain people that haven't been through it. But
The Red Book.
well, there's no red book, by the way. If there is, I couldn't tell you about it. But what they instill in you that you were standing on shoulders of giants that came before us, and that if we tarnish that, then I think your term was lower than well poop a while ago. Yeah. You're
lower than whale poop.
Yeah. So we have a saying, and you see Marines with tattoos all the time that say death before dishonor.
Yes.
We live that creed. I mean, other services, I don't think.
Well, I'll give you an example. My nephew, I think there's 5 still left out of that we're stuck in not their squadron, but their maneuvers or whatever. There's these 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. They were all in each of their weddings.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a Marine?
Yes. Christopher was a Marine. And so my thing was that and from last time I talked to him, I haven't talked to him in a couple of years or so or whatever, but he would always tell me that they would at least somehow communicate with each other almost every day. Yeah. After they're back.
Yeah.
And that if one of them would sit there and say, hey, you need to come out here, man, I'm in trouble. I need your help. They would look at their boss and say, hey, man, I need to take about a few days off. Man, I'm really sorry. I'll make it up or whatever. But
we don't leave anybody behind.
I got to go. And they were all in each other's weddings and stuff. And it's a very strong brotherhood.
It is. And, there's guys that don't want to go overseas, but you couldn't keep them from deploying if their brothers were going to deploy, so they wouldn't wimp out. They wouldn't go to, medical or whatever and say, hey, I've got a freaking bum knee or something like that. They could be missing 3 toes and I'm not staying here, because they wouldn't be able to live with themselves if something happened.
But we talk about that brotherhood of the Marines.
Yeah.
But isn't that also carry over into law enforcement?
You would think so, but it's not. It's kind of disappointed.
Okay. You said, I don't think so, but did it used to be that way?
Well, it wasn't when I first started. So that was.
It wasn't?
No. I've only been in this for 20 years, I didn't start till I was 40.
Yeah, but still. Take 20 years ago? Maybe. All I know is like the guys that I knew that went out of high school into law enforcement, man. When a brother was down or a brother was hurt, man, they rallied.
Well, yeah, it's not at the same level.
But they didn't. It seemed like even back then, if a cop was wrong, they called him out on it.
Yeah,
they called him out on it. Said, dude, you need to like, I don't know.
They could recognize
take a desk position for a few months, and you need to get your head on.
See,
straight.
I'm glad you brought that up, Brent, because I'm going to comment on that. You have.
What'd you say when I came on it? You said, "What are we going to talk about?" Yeah. I said, "Do I need to study for anything?" You said, "No, we're just going to sit here and just shoot the breeze."
Yeah,
I think we've been all over the place.
We have, and people like it because I don't script this. We just talk. I don't know.
I guarantee it ain't been scripted. I mean, man, we.
Well, I know.
I don't. Man, we've talked about. I don't know. I don't know all we've talked about.
Well, it's good to have somebody like you come in, and I realize that's why we were sitting out here talking. Because I don't know what the answer is until I don't know what the question is to give you an answer. So I could sit up here and give answers all day long of what I think the question ought to be, but until somebody on the other side, in the civilian side, asks the question.
I'm just asking. I don't know about.
I need that.
I know a lot. It's like.
Well, you're no different than everybody else out there. So.
Oh yeah, I am. Yes, my wife.
No,
she'll tell you.
It's the same questions is what I mean.
Okay. Well, I'll give you an example. TJ Fabby.
Don't know him.
Okay. Thomas Johnson Fabby. You know him?
Oh yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Isn't that Ashley's husband?
Yes. He married way up, brother. Way up, brother.
Hey,
you know
up.
that, TJ.
She's a saint, man.
Yeah.
There's a place for her when her day's done.
Yeah. I usually send her a sympathy card or condolence card.
So we love you, TJ.
Yeah. But I never really got into politics. I was kind of the person that, I'd go out and kind of vote, but kind of sometimes vote blindly. I will admit that. Mm-hmm. Oh man, they got the most billboards and they have the best TV ads. That's got to be the best person, right? Boy, did that change my mind. But I remember TJ come knocking on my door and talking to me about, and I don't think I was home, but my wife talked to him. And she goes, come back, my husband will be home by in a half an hour. He's going to want to talk to you. And he came back and we talked. And he challenged me. And TJ and I are 16, 14, maybe 14. I don't know how old TJ's in his mid-30s or something. But anyway, we're I don't know, something like that. We're still,
generations apart.
Yes. And here's this guy out campaigning, knocking doors, talking about freedom and rights and this, that, and the other. And I had to sit there and look at myself and I go, man, I've been a lazy citizen. I'm serious. I'll tell anybody that I was a lazy citizen. I just went through the motions of voting. I didn't do a lot of research and I was lazy about it. Yeah. And TJ challenged me to get out there and, look at things and research candidates, because he goes, look at some of your freedoms you're losing. And he challenged me, and it actually made me a better voter. But it also, because my kids were such a younger age, I was able to make them better voters.
Yeah.
To be able to understand that it is a priority to get out there and vote and do the right thing to understand what America is, the ideal, because America is everybody. It's not just a piece of land if you really think about it, because America, I think Bono talked about it one time.
Sure.
No, no, the guy for U2, man. Come on, man.
Man. You're getting your advice from Bono.
No. We were watching one of Dinesh D'Souza's shows. The Hillary 2016, Obama 2012, one of those. And he, at the end, he had an excerpt, and I think it's Bono, not Bono. I don't know, whatever his name is.
Cher Bono.
Yeah, there you go again.
Go ahead.
But he sat there and said, he goes, if you really look at America, any country could do that. It's a mindset and it's an ideal.
Yep.
And and that's what he was saying. And
it's a spirit.
Yeah.
It's esprit de corps. That's what it's called.
Okay, and with the
that's Latin.
Okay. When you gonna start speaking French?
Me and Doc Holliday, we speak Latin.
Okay.
Semper Fi and
okay.
But
anyway,
yeah, I know.
So what I'm just saying is that becoming you've got to become active. We have to be active citizens.
Oh no, I'm totally with you on that.
So when TJ challenged me on that, I took it with full force and became more involved. And I believe most citizens, I think, out there beyond Ellis County, even though this is Ellis County TV.
Ellis County TV.
Yeah. When we go beyond, is that I believe most citizens really want to leave a better place behind for their children or their grandchildren. I really do.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? And so we've got to me, our country, the United States of America, has a great foundation, a plan, and that's called the Constitution.
Oh, absolutely.
And
the Bill of Rights. Those guys back in the 1700s got that right.
You know who you need to get on this show? You know who Frank Kuchar is?
Yeah.
You don't like Frank? Huh?
No.
Frank's good peoples. Frank did a...
I get Harlan on here. Harlan Bounds, who's taken the reins, so to speak, of pressuring people to learn the Constitution locally.
Yes.
Because it's Ellis County TV.
I agree. And what it is Frank did a class, and we went on Mondays, and we met someplace.
Was that with the Tea Party when that was going on?
I don't know. TJ did it, but we basically... He said he would do it for free, but we're buying him gift cards and stuff because this was time. And, awesome. And it was about 14, 15 weeks. And it was 3 hours, either Monday night or Tuesday night. And it was like 7 to 10 or something. And I look at that, and let's just call it 45, 50 hours. And he gave handouts and everything. Wow, did I feel like an idiot. I mean, as far as what I didn't know.
Yeah.
And, the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. Oh, the Anti-Federalists, those guys must have sucked. Those are all. No, those were the good guys. So what I'm just saying is that I would love to see, before you could graduate from high school and to be able to vote, and I know that's going to sound crazy and a lot of people won't agree with me, but in order to graduate high school and to become a citizen out there in the world and be a fledged full grown adult or whatever you want to put it, your stamp of approval, that you would have to take a 1-year class that's taught in school. Mm-hmm. And I don't care, even
as an elective, maybe.
Well, no elective, man. No. It'd be mandatory. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
1 year. Now, people that homeschool, that's great. They teach the same course. In other words, 1 solid year. So that you understand the Constitution, you understand your rights, you understand your freedoms, you understand all the amendments, you understand everything. And you
understand how it affects other people.
And it affects you, your livelihood, how you live and everything. And I think if people would understand the Constitution, if they would completely understand it, you would see them vote differently. Mm-hmm. You would see different people in all elected offices. You would see different senators up there. You would see different House of Representatives. And the way I'm going to circle this back is that everybody always sits there and talks about, well, you got 535 people up there in Congress between the House and the Senate, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I would say maybe 10% of those are worth anything.
Well,
okay,
it's
10%.
Mr. Smith goes to Washington is what it is.
So it's so out of 535, you're going to tell me we got 53. Mm-hmm. Now, people go,
that's 10%, guys.
Yeah, there you go. And so if you look at it from that standpoint, that's sorry. Mm-hmm. It should be 90 are good and 10% suck. Yeah. It should be all that are good. But here's the thing: you hear people all the time, our Congress can't get anything done, and this, that, and the other. Well, whose fault's that? Yeah. It's the citizens.
You voted them in.
It's the citizens. Her. Well, it's the citizens, because they wouldn't be up there if people wouldn't put them up there. I mean, I think it was, and not to write anybody else, but I think it was either Sheila Lee Jackson or something was sitting there telling Ted Cruz, I don't know why you love the Constitution so much. That thing's like over 400 years old.
What about the other senator who said if we put more military on Guam, we were afraid it's going to flip
capsize.
over? Yeah, no, these are your elected officials, y'all.
No, what I'm just saying is I hear and I hear people always talking about we need to get term limits. There is term limits. They come up to get voted on every 6 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So what I'm just saying is that is your term limits. Don't be an ignorant voter and vote. And I mean all the way down to your local election. I don't care. I'm going to even tell you, even down to your city council, into your mayor, into everything, even your constable.
I don't know where I fell out on that one. That sounded like at the bottom. I got nowhere but up on that.
Whale poop.
Funny you should say that, Brent. I'm going to have all these people that you just mentioned.
Okay.
Got city council people coming in.
Wow, cool.
And I've got from Midlothian.
Okay.
So, our PR, bless his heart, God rest his soul, was just killed on I-35 here the other day. He held place 6, I believe. So the candidates that are going to run for that, one's Hud Hartson. He's going to come in, and we're going to discuss. And I'm also going to have the school board.
There's another guy, I believe, that's running called Alan Mormon. Do you know who he is?
I hadn't heard of him, but he's
a local businessman here.
Alan who?
Alan Mormon.
Are you sure it wasn't Alan McKeever?
No, he's not a Mormon, but he's a Mormon.
Yeah.
It's M-O-O-R-M-A-N.
It would be cool if he was a Mormon.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
Mormon?
I always tell him he's the only Christian I know that's a Mormon. But
Dan Gus? Yeah, and hey, you saved my life, brother.
What I'm just saying is that Alan's a local, and I believe he's running. He'd be good.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what my.
And I've heard of the other guy, Hard Hudson.
Hud Hartson.
Or
Hard Hudson.
Hard Hudson.
What do you? Just want to know I'm married, so I don't roll that way. No, but I want my show to be where we bring in everybody, and they can say what I'm not going to endorse anybody anymore on this show. I might endorse on a separate show, but I want this to be
I can endorse on a show.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
Anybody who comes on here.
Yeah,
but I don't want to take a stand.
Oh, I understand.
And alienate half the people. Maybe.
Well, and I think if you're trying to reach the county, I think in that your purpose.
Yeah.
Ellis County TV.
Ellis County TV. Y'all.
Okay. If you're trying to reach the county, I think you need to have everybody on.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, most people probably understand where you stand, your views and everything. So even though you may invite, which you would have somebody, let's say they have different views than you, would that be a good statement?
Yeah.
Okay, but you would still have them in here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
they'd have to answer some hard questions or not.
Well, I understand. Well, no, they could plead the fifth. But
Sure.
That's not what this is about.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a tough question.
Nah, ain't nobody asked me a tough question.
Oh yeah. You ready?
21 years. Come
Okay.
on.
No, I'm going to ask you.
Come on.
Okay. I'm going to make it easy. I'm not going to tell you 10. Name me 5 people that you wouldn't ask on. Or are you going to tell me you wouldn't ask anybody on?
There's 2 people I will never allow on here, Ann Montgomery and Vance Hines. Other than that, everybody, even if we had disagreements in the past, I would.
Okay.
I
appreciate your honesty because some people would say, "Oh no, I wouldn't oppose anybody." Okay, It's funny that you mentioned Vance Hines. I don't know Vance Hines. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's funny when my wife saw.
You got an hour, I can tell you about Vance.
Okay.
No.
Well, okay.
No, I don't want to be on this show.
Well, what was funny is I don't know Vance for anything. So Vance, if you watch, I don't know you, but what was funny is that
he's always watching.
Is he?
Yeah.
Cool. What up? Hi, Vance. I don't know him. I really don't. Okay. So my wife saw his one of his signs.
Mm-hmm.
His
his
election signs, campaign sign.
Yeah, campaign
sign.
We've been talking a long time.
French. No. So I saw a sign, and my wife looked at that and goes, "Did that say Vance and Hines?" Okay,
like the mufflers.
There you go.
Okay,
there you go. Okay, so mine wasn't a Harley. Mine was a sport bike.
Right, but
and I had a friend that sit there and said, "Oh man, you got to Arrest Me Red with a cop collar on it." Because it would just attract.
Oh yeah.
It would just attract the the law enforcement.
But you had Vance and Hines on it.
Yes, sir. And so my wife saw that. She goes, "Did what? That's a Vance and Hines?" And I said, "No, that's Vance and Hines. Terry Vance and guy came over. I just forgot Byron Hines. Terry Vance.
Oh, for the muffler guys.
Yeah, Terry Vance was the engineering guy behind it. He designed it. And
I've had 3 Harleys.
Byron Hines. Byron Hines was the engineer behind it.
Are we getting sidetracked?
Terry Vance, yeah. Terry Vance was the thing. But it was just funny that when you mentioned his name, my wife, I was just thinking it was just this weekend.
And 10 years ago, I would have been very, very worried about this election because of that name. 10 years ago, the biking subculture was a lot more prevalent than it is today. It's cyclic, cycle and cyclic, cyclic even.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah, educated guy.
Motorcycle.
Right. So 10 years ago, that Vance Hines would have been a well-known name, just like Kathy's saying. Does that say Vance and Hines?
Yeah.
But now it's not.
Right. Well, I'll be honest with you. Still. With the Harleys, that's probably they switched. See, when not to get sidetracked here, but Vance and Hines, when they first started out, they were all sport bike. Terry drag raced a Suzuki GS 1100, GS 1000. Yeah, but what I'm just saying is, but now you look at Vance and Hines now, they've completely flipped. They're predominantly everything's all Harley.
Yeah, well, that wasn't even my point.
Okay,
my point was that there was more motorcycle subculture. 10 years ago when, with all there was every day you'd see 50 guys out on the highway. Okay. That's kind of tanked a little bit. It'll come back, but 10 years ago it was everybody.
Well, but Harley's struggling. So the older generation is not riding as much.
Well, they're not buying that $40,000 motorcycle.
Well, but they're just not riding. And the younger,
you don't see one in here anymore.
Well, either. Not necessarily the millennials, but what's after millennials? My son would be, what they
Brand
call it,
X or
Gen Z or whatever. They're not interested in it. They could care less, and that's where Harley's struggling now because who do they sell their big bikes to?
And they're beautiful, but I'm to the point in my life where I want to have air conditioning and heater and reverse, and I don't.
My bike has reverse. I don't run.
It does now. But see, you didn't used to have a bike with reverse, but now you're uppity now.
Well, no, well, it's the Honda Goldwing.
Oh, I thought you got the BMW?
I did, and that one got stolen.
Oh,
and then it got whatever. Yeah,
where did it get stolen? Out of your house?
Out in Bastrop County on the side of the road. Had a flat tire, and I couldn't plug it, and it had a slice in the tire. And
I left it.
So I called BMW. Roadside assistance. They said it'll be 5 hours before we get out there. I go, dude, I ain't sitting out here 5 hours.
I gotta pee.
Yeah, I gotta go eat. So I walked into town, man. This is cray. So I walk in town. It's about 2 miles. I had to kind of walk down to even get cell service. I can't remember where I was. It was the highway between Meridian and Cranfield's Gap.
Yeah.
Whatever that highway 6, I don't even know what it is.
16, I think.
16.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what highway I just got. So
beautiful ride.
Exactly. So I'm out there and get a slice in the tire, and I go back to walk into town, and because BMW said, "No, is it safe off the side of the road?" Yeah, it's safe. It's pulled way off the side of the road, whatever. They go, "Don't stand out there, get hit or whatever. So just go on in." I said, "Okay." So I turned the flashers on, whatever. Walked into town. They said it'd be like 4 hours. So I was going to wait and called my wife, and she said, well, I'll send Jake out there. So I sent my son out there. So I sat there and waited for him. He came out about 2 hours later. 2 hours had passed. And it's funny because, kids these days, they write everything off navigation, right? Well, he's getting out there in the middle of nowhere, right? So he loses cell service. He's like going, what the flip am I supposed to do now? And so he's like going, so he picks me up and he goes, what the heck were you doing out here so far? I go, this is where you can ride. It's pretty out here. Well, you can't get cell service or anything out there. It's like the world, like the world's gone, away.
Yeah.
We're in time. So he gets out there and I get in his car and we start taking off. kind of crest this hill, and I go, my bike's just right up there. And he looks and he goes, I don't see a bike. And I go, yeah, it's just right. Hey, man, wait a minute.
Damn.
Yeah, and so they ended up finding it. That was on a Saturday. It was December 1st, I believe. That was on a Saturday.
Did they have like some kind of GPS on it or something that they could locate it?
Nah. So they December 1st, and then the guy called me, the sheriff or whatever down there called me, or detective or whatever, calls me like on a Thursday, and I tried to call him back. He left it on my answer machine at home, which I gave him my cell phone. But anyway, so I called him the next day. He goes, hey, we located your bike. He goes, it was shoved down a 20-foot ravine. So they couldn't start it because it was a key fob, and they tried to break it open, I guess. And they got pissed. They took it down the road. They got pissed, and they just dumped it down a 20-foot ravine. And a contractor that was doing like line work said, called the police and said, hey man, there's a bike here down there. So they had a tow company crane it all the way up out. Insurance company totaled it, and so I was looking to get another bike. And I told my wife I really would like you to ride with me because she liked that bike.
Now,
yeah, and so we rode 2 different Harleys, the Road Glide Ultra, the Ultra Limited,
Ultra Classic.
Well, no, the Limited's the that's the top of the line.
Oh, yeah.
And so heated grips and stuff, but and then we rode 2 different BMWs, both touring bikes, and the Honda. And she actually preferred one of the BMWs, but that year they brought in the speakers on the tour pack, and it hit her in the shoulder blade. So she goes, if you want me to ride with you, I picked the Honda. But she said, buy what you want. You want a Harley? We even rode the Indian. She goes, buy you a Harley and Indian, buy whatever you want because this is your deal. But if you want me to ride with you, I'm telling you which one I'm going to ride on.
Yeah.
And the other one, no. So she sits back there. She's got heated controls.
Hell yeah, man.
I mean, she can run her own heater. That's on the seat and her backrest. So
I think she posted that.
She likes that. She likes that bike and
that's
a different
what
windshield
means.
for. And then I did this. Got wireless communication. So.
Oh no, that's a bad idea, dude.
Well, I wasn't gonna go there, but you did mention it. So I
yeah,
I could turn off.
I'm hungry.
Oh yeah, I go potty.
Yeah,
yeah, but the music.
Oh yeah. No,
It comes through is wireless. It's all wireless. So it comes through that way. She can sit back there and turn it off, and she can sit there and watch Netflix or whatever on her tablet rolling down the road.
Yeah.
And then if she wants something, hey, there's food up here. We're going to stop. Okay, honey. So that's why
but she's your best friend. Like my wife. The reason why I don't have a motorcycle anymore is because it was hard on her back too.
Oh, I agree. And if it gets to that point, it's not worth it. My dad
I don't want to go by myself.
My dad put 100,000 miles down in with his girlfriend or whatever,
Yeah.
and the other thing, and the thing is I'm with you. I didn't like going out and riding by myself,
Yeah.
even with other guys. It just with her, I didn't like it.
Right.
So my thing is if you're gonna ride, I'll buy whatever that you
I would do the same thing.
And that when it gets to the point to where she says, I really don't care going out anymore or anything. Sometimes we'll just go do a breakfast ride. Her and I'll just go out on Saturday or whatever, and we'll go out for an hour and a half, hit breakfast, come back,
Sure.
and we enjoy that, to be able to spend that time together because, she knows that I grew up with, I was on my first motorcycle at 5. It's in my blood. And so my thing is when she says, I just really don't like anymore, I would probably get rid of the touring bike, but I'd have another bike, Triumph, a Harley, an Indian, something to ride around town because it's in my blood.
Yeah, and what if I get another one? I've got a Honda out here that a friend of mine, when he passed away, it's outside.
You saw me looking. Hey man,
Yeah.
tell it's like you tell me it's a motorcycle. I'm yeah.
It's a '82 Honda. I sold it to
Magna?
him. No, Shadow.
750.
750.
Okay.
Anyway, I sold it to him 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he was older, and he just passed away a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Bobby Prophet, good man. But he left that bike to me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I got it back. But if I was to get another bike, it would be, and I used to talk crap about it.
Just take that 82 and fix it up, brother.
I might do that.
Yeah,
I might do that, and just because I'm not into long distance riding anymore. I used to go 800 miles by myself.
Oh yeah.
You know, my dad before when my dad was alive, I would go up there, and my dad was up by Broken Bow, Oklahoma.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. God, that's the end of the Ouachita Mountains that runs through Arkansas.
In the Comanche mountain ranges.
You bet.
Because we lived actually north of there, probably another 50 miles of Broken Bow, and then off to the side. So that's where I did, I went to 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Make a long story short, I would make that ride from here. I'd start out here Saturday morning, and I'd ride up there, and I'd spend my time. My mom passed away, and I'd spend that time with my dad.
Yeah.
And then before it got dark, I'd get on, come back. So I mean, we're talking 700 miles round trip.
Oh yeah.
And I used to do it, but I got to where she meant more to me than if something happened to me. I know I'd be gone, I'd be dead, but the legacy I'd leave her. One, she'd be brokenhearted, obviously, and it just got to be selfish.
Are you sure?
I'm not sure.
Just a question.
Yeah,
No, I know
she's a real good woman for me. Luckily.
Well, they say behind every good man you'll find a good woman.
Yeah, and good Lord, that's
they usually keep us in line from the standpoint of
she'll kill
when
for me.
But when our testosterone starts taking over, they usually say, "Okay, why don't you click on this brain?" You know what I'm saying?
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to say goodbye, Brent. Brent Edminster. We talked about a lot of stuff today. Brent, I'm proud that you came in here, brother. We hadn't got to talk very much. What I went through was shameful, and I didn't want to be around people that I knew because they had so much against me, and they kept coming after me. It made me ashamed to face people because I was afraid that they would think what was coming after me was true. So my wife and I would go to Plano or Garland just to eat because I didn't want to show my face here.
That's sad.
It is. So that's behind me for but I couldn't blame people. That's my point. So I'm glad you came over, and it was an honor to have you on my show. And I get you back, man, because I think people are going to dig our little bullshit session. I don't know if they still all over the place. All over the place. I don't know if they still say dig or not, but it was groovy, brother.
Okay.
All right, man. Thanks, guys.